Hello and welcome to the Pop Council Podcast, the show where we cover everything in pop culture. Each week on this show, we discuss topics in the geek world, such as various fandoms like Disney, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, theme parks, and everything in between. I'm Jami, Philbrick, editor-in-chief of Movie Phone and a member of the Hollywood Critics Association. We have a great show for you today. We'll be discussing the new Lightyear trailer, Moon Knight episode 4's crazy ending. Fast 10 is now Fast X. Denzel Washington returning for Equalizer 3. Dungeons and Dragons has a new title and more. But it wouldn't be Pop Council without my wonderful co-host, Wendy Lee. Hey, Wendy.
Hi, Jami. Good to see you.
Good to see you. How was your weekend?
You know what? It was pretty busy. Saturday night went out and just, had a very intimate, fun little birthday party with over at a friend's. And then yesterday was Dapper Day at Disneyland. So husband and I dressed up in our
Dapper Day. What's Dapper Day?
People, you kind of dress up in your most dapper. So, we got the bow tie, suspenders, the hats, the dresses, the beautiful hair that I don't know how to do. So it was just down.
It doesn't necessarily have to be Disney themed.
It does not. Okay. Actually, out of all the years that I've gone, and I say this, I've only gone to Dapper Day 3 times. They've been doing it for much longer.
That's a lot, though. It's
pretty good, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun to kind of thrift store and kind of piece your stuff together for like a really affordable price. But this is the one year I feel like, at least for my experience walking around, I saw less themed, like Disney themed Dapper Day, as opposed to people just like looking really cool in their dapper best.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. That's
fun. Yeah, and it's fun. And they have like a little expo over at the Disneyland Hotel. You can do shopping. There's AC, which is really important because yesterday it was hot.
Yes.
And there's swing dancing. So it's a good time.
Swing dancing.
Yeah. We didn't do that because we got there too late and we just went to the parks.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, if you're going to be there, you might as well go to the park. Well, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Well, we've got a great show, Wendy, but it wouldn't be Pop Council without a third member of the council. So another returning champion this week, Yael Tygiel. Hey, Yael.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, how are you with your cat ears, headphones?
Yes.
I want to be glow.
They do. Look at. I know you're dapper. You could go to.
You look great. Always.
Thank you.
Yeah, remind everyone a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what you're up to.
Yeah, I'm Yael Tygiel. I host a show here on the Hollywood Critics Association channel as well called Hollywood Approved. We are now on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about what we've just watched and what we thought about it. And we usually have a celebrity guest or someone with us to talk about things. I am also a writer for Fanversation. I host an SVU podcast because Law and Order Special Victims Unit is the greatest show of all time. So, got to make sure I talk about that one.
I have really gotten into the full night of Law and Order now. They have they brought back the flagship Law and Order, and Jeffrey Donovan is an actor I've always loved. I was a big fan of Burn Notice. So the fact that he's there now with Anthony Anderson.
Yeah.
Cameron
Manheim.
Born to be the head police chief or cop or whatever, the lieutenant Captain. Or whatever she is. Captain. Yeah. Great on it. And then that sort of got me back into like the SVU. And then I really did enjoy the Christopher Meloni spinoff. Now interesting. So have you not enjoyed the Christopher Meloni spinoff? Talk to me about that. Here's the thing.
So I watch it for our podcast because sometimes it does cross over with SVU. So I am the only person on my podcast watching it to make sure that if anything happens, I can fill us all in. But really, it's an obligation I do so that no one else has to. Because the show, the first season was awful. The second season got better. And then it went back to the same story from the first season, which was awful. But now we're in a whole new story and it's better. It's doing better.
Dennis Leary as the dirty cop. I mean, I think he's great that they brought him in. I agree. The Richard Wheatley thing maybe
sucks.
Yeah. I did like him sort of embedded in that
Albanian.
Yeah, with
gang.
that stuff. Yeah, that was pretty good. Wendy, you're like, what are we talking about?
No,
We
I'm
are in
loving this
we are
conversation.
in
I
the
haven't watched.
SVU vortex.
I actually like SVU was my favorite out of all the
Because it's the
it's
best.
the best one. It's I like to say it's the only one, but I haven't watched the spin-off. So I was just really interested, and I'm like trying to like look it up on the side. I'm like, oh.
And the spin-off
jump
has
into season
crossed
2.
over. You're right; they're crossing over like a little bit less now, but there was a lot of crossover in the first like season and a half.
Too much.
Yeah, although I do like them sort of toying with like, what Mariska Hargitay and Christopher Maloney's characters mean to each other, and sort of at a certain point they either need to commit to it or just drop it. But I've liked that so far. So interesting stuff. How do you like the like full night of Law and Order, like Thursday night, 8 to 11? Although none of us probably watch it in real time anyways anymore. We're all watching it streaming the next day or something. But how do you like sort of NBC doing this night of Law and Order?
I think I like it since they originally, when SVU started, it was a spinoff of the original, and then there was Criminal Intent, and then there was a whole bunch of other one-season shows that they tried to do.
Right.
But once they like really solidified their One Chicago, I think they realized they could go back to Law and Order and make it happen. I will say, I think Dick Wolf owns 2 nights on NBC and 1 night on CBS. That seems like a lot of time for one person's properties. And I think that there can be other things. I think we can bring in original concepts.
Interesting. Well, it's interesting what you said with the Chicago stuff, because I think that they really let him do what he always wanted to do with Law and Order and never really got to do.
Yeah.
And is now getting to do now. And the same with the FBI stuff on CBS.
CBS,
so.
yeah.
Well, we could talk primetime procedurals all afternoon.
I do love a good procedural. I do love them.
I do too. My mom loves the procedurals so much. Like, she gets annoyed when a series like will all of a sudden, like become episodic kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think SVU actually has done that. That's why she doesn't like the Chris Maloney one, because they don't solve
right.
a crime in one episode. She's like, I have to watch next week too. I want them to solve something.
I was furious when organized crime started, and I realized after the first episode that we were just going to go all season. I was very upset to discover this.
Which I actually like that. Like, that's one of the things I kind of dig about that show, is that it's, I can kind of sink into it and watch it. But, it's a little bit, now Dick Wolf's offering a little bit for everyone, so it works out well. Well, let's jump into some of these topics this week. We got our second, I believe, a little bit more of a full trailer for Lightyear. Which of course is based on the Buzz Lightyear character from Toy Story. So this is set in the Toy Story world, but I guess more in a little bit of the realistic world, in the sense that you see here Chris Evans portraying the voice of Buzz Lightyear, and we'll get to see the real story behind the real person, Buzz Lightyear, and then we get another shot here, and we got to find out a little bit more of the story. It seems that Buzz is going to go into space, and much like Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes, hit a bit of a wormhole or something. And I guess Inception's another way of looking at it, right? Or no, Interstellar. It's 3 years passed for him, but it's 60 years on Earth, and now it's about getting back to Earth, even though the people he loved may already be gone. So it's kind of heavy for a kids film, that idea, but I see them sort of going for that middle audience, right? The parents who grew up with Toy Story, who now have kids of their own, and maybe a little bit of older kids who grew up with Toy Story 3 and 4 and now can see the Buzz Lightyear thing. The one question I'll pose to both of you, and then please, you can both give me your thoughts, and Yael, we'll start with you. Since this is in the Toy Story universe, does that mean that we will see action figures talking, or toys? Could there be a toy taken on the plane that starts because apparently in this world, toys become human when people aren't watching. So will that be played in, or is this going completely straight, like straight story, straight, like almost Apollo 13 animated? What do you think, Yael?
So I was under the impression, and I don't know if this is correct or not, but I was under the impression that this is supposed to be the movie that Andy saw that then got him so excited to buy the Buzz toy.
Oh.
And that said, I can't imagine a small child watching this and being like, I need a toy of this guy. Based on
Right.
the trailer alone, I don't want a toy of this guy. I'm not sure I even want to watch the story of this guy based on the trailer alone. That said, I will absolutely be watching because I love the Toy Story universe and I love Toy Story. And I'm excited to see, sometimes trailers don't do the movie justice. So hopefully this is better than it looks.
Well, that's interesting. So this is a movie within the movie, we're thinking, and
I
not
believe so.
like it really took place in that universe. So it's like
Wendy?
Andy's watching a movie. It's so it would be like me watching Apollo 13 as a kid.
Yeah, that's kind of the
gist. It's not like Neil Armstrong. Buzz Lightyear isn't a real person in Andy's universe.
I don't think so. I don't think so because of the technology that they have and the alien and all that stuff, which was none of it was ever alluded to in any of the Toy Story films.
Well, but I thought because of the time jump that would be possible.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out when it comes out because I think that part of it is a little bit mysterious, and I do like the marketing for that because it gets people talking. But I side with Yael with her theory as well because I feel like that would be a film that instead of a historical figure, it's an actual movie, sci-fi film that maybe Andy's parents were watching. But you know how as his kids, for example, I was way too young to be watching Top Gun. My parents showed it to me anyways. I'm not saying I have like a closet full of, Top Gun action figures because I don't. But because I don't know if those exist. But
I don't think they do. I mean, I think G.I. Joe was the closest to that at the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's kind of the same, like I saw my older cousins watch G.I. Joe, got into it. And then I have the action figures when I was little from G.I. Joe, which my mom was kind of, she was iffy about buying things like that for me. So I feel like that's where it kind of comes in for it's a movie that Andy saw and it was popular with the kids. And they're like, oh, space travel, space ranger adventure type in space. So naturally the kids would want the toys. That's kind of what I think. Because I don't see it being rooted within like that's their universe.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah. I mean, we could do a 60-year jump, but I also find it funny.
It's almost like it's Star Wars, like the way we grew up with Star Wars. Andy grew up with Buzz Lightyear, like Star Wars. Okay, I can see that. That can work. So then it makes me beg the question: will we is this just a movie within a movie universe, or will we see the actor that Chris Evans is voicing who plays Buzz Lightyear? Do we go behind the scenes, or are we just seeing the movie as if we were Andy seeing the movie in the Toy Story universe?
That might be it. And then end credit, if they do an end credit for, I don't think Pixar do end credits, but maybe at the very end.
Yeah, I don't know if they do end credits.
They do. I mean, look at Frozen.
Yeah, that had an
end,
Olaf,
you have a little Olaf moment. You have a little the
technically not Pixar though.
Oh, that's Walt Disney Animation.
Hold on, wait. There was
Brave had one.
Brave had one, but also Toy Story 4 had one.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, it did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be an end credit scene where people walk out of you see a very young Andy holding mom's hand.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Before he goes to college and all that stuff. That'd be cute. Or we could, cut to God, my theories. Tinfoil hat is on. We cut to, grown Andy after college in his home with his family, showing his kids on a VCR or something like that.
Yeah,
the movie that he grew up with, and it could be that. Yeah. I do want to call out this comment in our chat by MK Songbird, who writes, the definitive origin story of Buzz Lightyear. The hero who inspired the toy, Lightyear, follows the legendary Space Ranger on an intergalactic adventure alongside a group of ambitious recruits. There is the comment right there, so you guys can read along. So that's the, I think, the actual description, which is still vague because it doesn't tell you.
Doesn't
but I
answer our
like
question.
that. Yeah, I like that though.
No, and if it is like the movie within the movie, they've kept that, that didn't seem to be revealed in the trailer. So yeah, interesting.
But overall, I did like it. And I also think it's funny that Chris Evans is again playing a character that like doesn't age.
Right.
Stuck in a different time again.
I thought about that same thing when I was watching the trailer, Wendy. That was one of the first things that came out. Is like, wow, he just plays characters lost in time. Like that's great. He's found his niche.
Yeah. Ageless Chris Evans.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm excited for this now. I don't know how much I really was excited, about another Toy Story or, even this sort of version of, kind of cashing in or coming back to the character in Toy Story. But Yael, are you excited for this now? Did this trailer make you a little bit more anticipating it or what?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm hesitant. I feel like, when you want to see a Toy Story movie, you want like that fun excitement, that childhood wonder. And so far, this trailer is not giving me that. It's a little more not serious, but it almost feels like we're gonna watch a drama that they're gonna somehow make funny. Does that make sense?
Okay.
It makes a lot of sense. I had the same kind of feeling from watching it too. It seems like a more dramatic movie than you would probably expect from a Toy Story spinoff.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm excited. I mean, I'm eager, but I don't know that I'm excited, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I feel the same way. Well, okay, moving on to TV. And we've been watching with anticipation Moon Knight these last 4 episodes. I believe 5th episode will drop tomorrow night, and then the finale is next week, dropping late Tuesday evening and into Wednesday. And so we had a little bit of like a WTF moment for me, at least. I don't know if you guys knew what was going on, but towards the end of episode 4, Mark Spector is shot by Arthur Harrow and sort of awakes. And now we're not quite sure, is this a dream? Is this reality? And was the rest of the series a dream up to this point? We don't really know. We're probably supposed to be guessing at this point. And so Mark wakes up in what can only be explained as a psychiatric hospital, and finds a Moon Knight action figure. Layla is next to him, but she's not Layla. She's somebody else. She's drawing little pictures of Khonshu. And as we find out, Mark is talking to his therapist, who is Arthur Harrow. And then there's a coffin and there's someone yelling for help from the coffin. Mark goes, and it's actually Steven. And actually at the beginning of this, we see a what looks to be sort of an Indiana Jones ripoff movie from the 80s, early 90s. And Stephen Grant is the name of the archaeologist. So we're sort of left to believe that everything is, that we've seen so far is perhaps been inside Mark's head. But of course he finds Steven. There's another voice, another person calling from one of the coffins, but it's not revealed who that is just yet, although we'll talk about that. I'm sure we all have some theories. And then at the very end, we see this hippo, this anaphoric hippo. I believe it's an Egyptian goddess. One of you may know exactly which one it is. Tawet. Tawret, yeah. So, and it has a little moment with the boys before fading to black. So was a really exciting, sort of end to this, if you will, beginning half, a little bit more of the beginning half of the series. Wendy, what were your thoughts when we get to this point, like, do you believe that, I mean, it is sort of revealed by the end of this segment that most likely this isn't happening in his head because Steven is there too, and all this other stuff kind of going on. But did you sort of think for a second, like, what are we doing here? What are they trying to tell us? And what did you think when the goddess arrives?
So I think at this point, once we got into this part of the episode, I said to myself, I mean, my reaction is up on the Movie Couple channel if you guys want to check it out. But there was a lot of, what's going on? What am I watching? And then for a second too, I thought maybe the show, like I had to double check, and I was like, did I bump the remote when I'm watching something different? Because the whole aspect changed as well when they were watching the Tomb Buster, older movie,
Right.
the a la Indiana Jones flavor. But then I said, just very reactionary as I was watching this, once we were in that space, and I was like, oh, we're inside his head, because we all know that Mark Spector's character has DID, and we already met, the alters so far that we've met, Mark and Steven. And I thought that maybe the being shot in the chest twice by Arthur kind of, I don't know, gave us an insight into like the trauma kind of kicked him back into his own head, and now we're seeing everything play out. But then I've been reading other theories. People are saying that since he was shot in the chest, this is potentially, kind of Mark / Steven in the afterlife. And then somebody gave me also another theory, which I was like, that's really interesting. This show has been hinting at giving us, there are 3 alters, right? We've only met 2 so far. And so this person's theory, it's not mine, said that because we're only meeting Steven and Mark in this space because he was shot twice, which means like Jake, the third alter, is like still kind of unharmed, like in that sense. I don't know. I don't have the comment in front of me, so I can't say it verbatim, but I found that really interesting. I get where they're
going with that. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. But it was a lot of screaming at the TV till the end of the episode, essentially.
Of course. Yeah, no, I mean, from the comic books, I think that is correct, right? Like what you were thinking, your initial thought that this is inside his headspace or some kind of, internal. And I think that that's probably likely. And as far as that third alter that we are all hoping eventually shows up, yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense that that's Jake in the other coffin. How we sort of get out of this, and then also in the comics, Jake Mark is killed all the time and comes back because Khonshu can bring him back. Now, Khonshu being where he is right now, so that part gets a little tricky in this story, how we're going to get him back. But yeah, I definitely don't think we've seen the last of Mark at all. Yael, what were your thoughts in this segment?
So I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I gave up with this show after the 3rd episode.
Whoa.
I was like,
really?
I was like, I don't care. I think that there's a lot of simple questions that any person would ask about themselves. And the fact that no one has, for example, we have a character who in the 1st episode tells us that he thinks he's sleepwalking to the extent that he's put up all of these measures.
Yeah.
And then people are telling him he's doing things that he doesn't remember. And at no point is he seeking help for that or asking why it's happening. Like that, it just really, at least ask, at least question, at least wonder. And he doesn't. And that really bothered me because 3 episodes in, I felt like still, anyway. So I gave up. I watched it for this discussion. And here's what I'm going to say. This 4th episode should have been the 2nd episode. The first 3 episodes should have been squished down. We should have hit this in episode 2 because now I'm like, what is happening? Who is that? Why is this happening? I'm into this. I'm fascinated now. But you literally had I not been coming on this show,
you wouldn't have watched it.
I wouldn't have watched it. I gave up. I was over it. And so thank you both for making me come on this show. But also, this should have been episode 2. This should not have been so far into the series. That said, I'm not familiar with this character. So I came into this show blind. So, yes, I thought that another altar was in the esophagus that they didn't open.
Yes.
And now I hear that there is possibly a Jake.
Right.
Is he from State Farm? Who knows? I would love to find out. Would love to find out. Yeah, I'm very into this. The idea that this is his safe space in his head is so interesting. I'm okay with that. This should have happened 2 episodes ago.
That's
So
an interesting point, Yael. Because one of my issues with overall all of the Marvel Disney Plus shows has been that I felt there's always at least one, if not maybe two, extra episodes you didn't need. I mean, episode 2 of WandaVision, episode 2 of Falcon and Winter Soldier, episode 3 or 4 of Loki. You know, there's always kind of one sort of filler episode.
which is wild for a series. It's a mini series with
Right.
6 episodes.
Right. And so I love the way that like a series like Hawkeye or Moon Knight can tell the story of this hero, you know, and have longer than the 2 hours you need for a movie. But do we need 6, 8 hours? Maybe not. Maybe this story could be told in 4 or 5. And just moving that episode up and sort of jumping, you know, there was a lot of setup in this series too, and a lot of introduction and I mean, really introducing you to two lead characters played by the same actor. So I don't know, Wendy, what are your thoughts on that and what Yael just said? Do you think this episode would have serviced the series better had it been earlier in the run?
I agree with Yael to a point because I also didn't know too much about Moon Knight coming in, but I was very excited about, you know, just kind of the base knowledge I had. I was like, wow, I can't wait to see them flesh out this character. And initially I was concerned because everybody kind of going into this thinking we were going to get to see Mark being kind of our main character,
Right.
but they pulled one on us and they gave us Steven. And kind of in retrospect, I enjoy that so much because I find Steven, and I know some people have said like, oh, he's so annoying. I find him very endearing, and I find him putting him in the forefront of, I don't know what exactly is happening to me. I'm not just, I thought I was sleepwalking. I can't get a hold of my mother. This lady is calling me, and I find a, you know, like a burner phone in my home. All of a sudden, who is Mark? And it's watching him experience this firsthand. And also as the audience, we're experiencing it along with him firsthand. I find that really cool. And I kind of like the concept of that a lot. And then to have us meet Mark, who's a bit more straight-laced. And I feel like if they gave us Mark, then it would have felt like some of the other Marvel shows that we've already seen before, a little bit more serious and kind of, you know, straight shooting. So I like this approach. I don't love that now that they revealed this whole episode 4 thing, then we only have 2 episodes left. I either wish they give us an extra episode, or they could have maybe put 2 and 3 together, or something like that. I don't want to say none of the, like, an episode was completely unnecessary, because I think we needed the context, and I think there's a lot of people to meet. I think Arthur is a really interesting, very creepy character. I think Layla is phenomenal. So I like that they took the time to build it, but I also can understand why some of the audience members can feel like, I don't know, I'm out. And I think in Yael's case, it was really rare because it just so happens she literally was coming on this show after she gave up after episode 3, which is fine. And she was like, okay, because she's a great guest, she's like, I'm going to do my due diligence and watch the episode. So I love that her mindset's shifted. Now she's it's rekindled her interest a little bit. I really hope episodes 5 and 6 deliver.
Yeah, I just add to your point, like that's a huge shift in the 4th episode to then only have 2 more episodes to resolve it. And now we know Moon Knight's going to eventually end up in a Marvel movie at some point, but you know, I don't think they've announced
Werewolf by Night this October.
Yep. And they haven't announced a season 2, so the assumption is still this is a miniseries and not an ongoing series.
You're correct.
Until we get other information. So yeah, 2 episodes to then tie this up so that Mark and Steven and Moon Knight are the character we need them to be for the MCU going forward. that's not a lot of real estate to do that in. But I do really like to what you were saying, Wendy, the choice to start the series at least from Steven's POV. I thought was a very strong choice to make with this character.
It is a strong choice. I was like, where's Mark?
I mean, I agree with you, Wendy, that like, you know, experiencing it along with him is enjoyable.
Yeah.
But they're like, we have questions that he isn't bothering to ask.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you about that.
And I can't understand how any person going through that wouldn't ask that question. Like when the girl was like, you asked me out, and he wasn't like, I should figure out why I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And if he indeed was seeking help on the side, like the show so far has not hinted at that
at all.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then you do have to wonder, like, when did Steven happen? You know what I mean? Like, when did he start to become, as we see in the first few episodes, sort of the primary person existing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the series needed to start somewhere. So, but yeah, well, we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get some answers shortly tomorrow night.
Yes,
and it'll be really interesting to see how they, you know, tie this whole thing up in 2 more episodes. So awesome. Well, moving on. You know, it seems like every week now, Vin Diesel is going on Twitter over the weekend and making an announcement. We had last week, of course. Here we have a picture of Oscar winner Brie Larson acting like she likes being next to Vin Diesel. So you see, she's such a great actress. They really look like they genuinely like each other, don't they? So this was announced, of course, by Vin last week on his Instagram, which seems to be his only line of communication with the outside world, that Brie will be in Fast 10. We don't know.
Take it down. I can't keep looking at it.
Oh, yeah. No, of course. Well, so here's the big announcement.
There it is.
This week is that Fast 10 is now Fast X. So the family uses Roman numerals, which makes sense, of course. Right. Tyrese is Roman, so you would use the Roman numerals. Nice. Yeah, Fast X is going to be the title. What do we think about this? Yael, this is just for you. What do we think about? I don't know. I still say they really missed, because I like the tongue-in-cheek Fast and Furious titles they've done over the years. I think they really missed an opportunity with the 8th one, which they just went with Fate of the Furious. Mm-hmm. They could have done, you know, Fate of the Furious 8, or, you know, used 8 somehow, or actually in Fast 6, I think it was just called Fast 6, and they could have used 6 as like Fast 6, Fate of the Furious 6, or something like that. I don't know, but I don't know. I
wish that they had done F8.
Yeah, or like used 8 as, yeah, like I like it when they use the number in the title. Like, so they could have done like F8 and the Furious. Like that would have been awesome, right? Something like that. So I don't know. I think Fast X is kind of like a streamlined title. It's quick, it's cool. I don't know, works, I guess.
What if?
What do you think, Yael?
What if this is the crossover with Triple X? That's
Think of how many Vin Diesels we can get on screen for this one.
Oh, I mean, my God.
Why not?
Well, that would be awesome. You know,
are you listening?
The last Triple X kind of became a Fast and the Furious movie. Like, if you really watched it, you know, which was sort of inevitable, I think. And so it would be interesting. But now that you have, like, because they work with Mr. Nobody, so they're sort of in the, you know, the government. Yeah. Wow. Wendy, my mind is blown. What do you think about 2 Vin Diesels in the same movie?
I'll take it. I'll take it too. Yeah. I'll take it. Hey, look, honestly, like we joke about, you know, the Fast and Furious or whatever, but I have such a good time watching these movies. I just let all my hair down. I get the biggest popcorn. I get the soda and the candy, and I literally and physically eat it all up. I think it's funny because when I think it was after Tokyo Drift, I was like, yeah, I wasn't really into it anymore. And it was, believe it or not, Fast 8 was the one that brought me back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I skipped all of them. I was like, okay, after Tokyo Drift, I didn't watch any of the movies, and then I got invited to watch, like just a press thing for Fast 8. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll go. And I just had such a good time. I'm like, why didn't I stay in it? So I think with the title, I think, instead of using the number 10 and using the Roman numerals, I think it's fine. I like the poster that they used the little car headlight and then made it into the X. And we know this is part 1 of 2. So I would like to see if they can do like Fast X 2, like squared.
Right. Like, how are they going to do?
That's what I want to see. And for you, Jami, you can think of Fast and Furious 10, the extreme, if you want to do the X.
Right.
If you want to really lean into the X there. FX,
yeah, for me,
extreme.
it was. So I had a similar thing where I could have cared less about Tokyo Drift. And to this day, that's still my absolute least favorite. Like, I don't like Tokyo Drift at all.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like a different movie.
Fast 5, once they brought The Rock in and they kind of went into the heist kind of, right before they became spies. They were heist. They were doing a heist.
Good.
And I like that. So yeah, the series definitely for me picked up, after the 5th one, which, I mean, I don't know that there's any other series where you'd say I like the later ones more than the early ones, but they've accomplished it. Yael, what do you think about Fast X driving to a theater near you?
I mean, honestly, I'm waiting for the next Hobbs and Shaw. Where's my Hobbs and Shaw 2?
Oh, is it still happening? Yeah. Can those still happen?
I think they can still happen.
Really?
And I think that what I've heard from the Rock camp is, it's in the, it's in the works. It's in the, they've got so many things, but I don't think like that's not something Vin leads up now, that's Rock's production company.
I see. So they can
and his producer here, Hiram. He has a producer named Hiram Garcia, I think is his name. Okay. But anyways, I think that's where I got those quotes from. Is he sort of was being asked about it, in addition to Black Adam and all the other projects they have, and so it sounded to me like it's in the pipe, it's coming, but it's way down the line.
I see.
I love that one.
Me too. I just thought that because he, kind of there's the tension between the two actors that I thought maybe just the Rock was like, I'm gonna walk away from like anything Fast and Furious, but I guess
I think they've worked it out to keep them completely separate for those reasons, because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe Jason Statham is returning for Fast 10.
I haven't heard otherwise, but you're probably right.
I believe he's not returning, and I think he's not returning so that he can return in the next Hobbs and Shaw. So they're really going to separate the Hobbs and Shaw universe from the Fast and Furious universe. Yeah. And especially also because they've created, they've got, Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart and all those other characters that they kind of created just for that world. I could see them sort of exploring and developing that more with Statham and who else was that? Vanessa Kirby and Eliza Gonzalez and like those new sort of side Fast and Furious characters, if you will.
I always assumed that was just how we were going to go forward. Was we were going to have the Fast family and then the Hobbs and Shaw. And then assuming these continue for a ridiculous amount of time, eventually they reconnect.
Well, that's Fast interesting 20. Because if we're looking at Fast 10, whether it's split into two parts or not, if we're looking at Fast 10 as the quote unquote end of the Fast and the Furious franchise, I mean, we all know as long as they make money, they're going to keep making them. But where do they go from there? If they're really end up advertising this one as the last one, I mean, I don't know how you go on, especially if you can't connect to Hobbs and Shaw.
I assume then that if just to hypothetically play this out, if we're finishing with Fast X squared, as part 2, then anything that comes after is going to be the Fast and Furious Presents, the way that Hobbs and Shaw was. So you're going to then have the Fast and Furious Presents, the next generation.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's something like that. I
okay.
think you might be right, and or also maybe spinning off other current, which might be why you're bringing in a Jason Momoa and a Brie Larson now. Spin
Right.
off some new characters, because I don't see the franchise moving on. Like, I don't see Vin taking sort of like a producer leadership position. You know, like Dom dies in the last one, and then Vin is going to
Never.
produce movies that he's not in. I just don't see that happening.
Same.
So I think that if the franchise goes on past X, it goes on with Vin Diesel. How that
Okay.
happens, I have no idea. But I don't think it'll, you know what I mean? I don't think I don't see him pulling a Robert Downey Jr. and, you know, saying I'm leaving the universe, but let the universe go on. I think the Fast and Furious universe dies with Vin Diesel. Wendy, what do you think?
I mean, if they want to continue to, you know, spin out stories, do spin-offs or whatever, and if Vin wants to continue to be involved, because like I feel like he really enjoys it and two, he really loves it.
Right.
So why not? And they can also do, you know, some time jump. And, you know, it's already been established, like Dom has a family, he's got, you know, kids. We can do a whole time jump where the kids but you know, we age them, so we can always do that, and maybe the old rivalries come back. He himself can make an appearance, you know, as like,
because then you could have Dom's kid and Brian's kid, and you wouldn't.
Oh my gosh,
you wouldn't have a problem with recasting because it's fine, and then you just wouldn't see Brian. Yeah,
there you see next generation.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's a lot. Well, and also I think it's an important. You said it.
Fast
You know,
Z.
He loves the franchise and it's important franchise to him. But I mean, it's also, I mean, let's be honest, this is only franchise at this point. I mean, yes, he's in the Marvel
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but I mean, he has 3 words in the entire franchise. So, you know, like, but yes, besides whatever involvement Groot would have, you know, he tried to relaunch Triple X, didn't work. They've tried to relaunch Riddick a couple times. I'm sure he will try to relaunch it again. But, you know, Dom is his bread and butter. Dom is what makes him a movie star. And so, yeah, I know they're saying this is the last one, but I won't see it. I won't believe it until I see it. Couple more things before we wrap up today. But this is interesting. I'm a big fan of the Equalizer movies. You know, they're pretty much on television all the time. If you turn on TNT or the Paramount station right now, you will probably see either Equalizer 1 or 2 with Denzel. And of course, now we have the Queen Latifah series on CBS, which is a hit as well. And so Antoine Fuqua is going to return. We will see Denzel once again play this character. And I'm sure he'll find some bad guys that he's got to hunt down and some people he's got to help. It was interesting because the first one is really the origin story of how he starts helping people. And he helps the girl from Kick-Ass, whose name Chloe Moritz, helps her. And then in the second one, it's actually more Pedro Pascal is in it. And it's more of a kind of his past comes to haunt him sort of thing. And it actually got away a little bit from the idea of like, you know, this guy's helping people that can't, you know, get justice on their own. So it'll be interesting. I guess the question I'll ask to you guys is, I mean, one, do you care about an Equalizer 3? Is this anything that, did you see the last 2? Does this poke your interest at all? And where do you think they may go with this story? Do you think they'll return to sort of the, you know, the classic idea of what the series was supposed to be? Yeah, we'll start with you.
I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen the first 2. Maybe I saw the first one and I don't recall. It's possible. But I'll say this. I know that there is a show. I know that Queen Latifah is the lead. And if she does not appear in the movie, I don't really care. Queen Latifah is the Equalizer in my eyes. And I would love to see this crossover, to see their worlds intertwined, to see how they both help each other the same way or differently, or how it affects the other person. I want to see Queen Latifah going head to head or working side by side with Denzel. That's my personal opinion.
Well, that's a great point, and I would actually like to see that too. I mean, I think you've got a hit TV show with, arguably a big movie actress as well. So to put them together, Queen Latifah and Denzel, I think would be awesome. And I would have to Google check this, but I'm pretty sure they use different character names. Like, I don't think she has the last name McCall. So,
Okay.
but if they did, so that would make it even easier. And if they do both use the last name McCall, then, maybe they're relatives. Maybe this,
Right.
Queen Latifah's his niece, and she's also the Equalizer.
Did you
And
say you didn't think Queen Latifah? Sorry for interrupting. You didn't
is she
think Queen
McCall or
Latifah?
not?
She's
Yeah.
she's Robin McCall.
She's Robin McCall. Okay, he's Robert McCall. So maybe they're relatives in this world. Maybe that's how they.
Then, if that's the case, you could potentially show up, even if it's an end credit or something, or just a mention, even.
And it's
That'd
also
be pretty
interesting
cool.
because the series, I believe, and Yael, you can tell me if this is correct, takes place in New York.
I do not recall.
I believe the series takes place in New York. I can tell you for sure the movies take place in Boston. So two completely different cities, so it's not like there's two Equalizers, both named McCall, working in the same city. So they, have some distance between them. So yeah, I think it would be amazing if they did that. I don't know that they will. Also, I don't know who owns, how that all works. It's they're Sony Films. It's a CBS television show. I'm not sure who owns the show. I don't know how that all works.
Yeah.
I assume, I mean, look, as much as I want that to happen, I assume it will not and is unlikely, mostly because, this isn't the first time that a TV show has been made based off of a movie franchise.
Yes.
And when that happens, they really keep them separate, which I think is a bummer. I think one of the things that the MCU has taught us is that people like when shit intertwine. Apologies for my language, but people enjoy that. And I think that the DC Arrowverse has proven the same thing. People like that. And then you have something like S.H.I.E.L.D., which tried its best to keep up with the MCU and then got screwed over. And I think people were disappointed. So intertwine the universe. We like a universe.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I mean, I'll be honest, and I was surprised when they even announced they were doing the Queen Latifah TV show, because I assume, the second Equalizer did well at the box office. I assumed they'd do a third one. And so it seemed weird to me that they would launch a TV show before they announced the movie or get the third movie out. But yeah, maybe they're working either some kind of a crossover or completely keeping it's separate. I mean, I'd love to see Denzel. Have Denzel and Queen Latifah ever done a movie together?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I feel like they may have appeared in the same movie, but
not in the same scene.
Yeah, or not had
that's
major.
Possible.
Yeah, like, was their movie The Preacher's Wife? Was he in that with Whitney Houston? Was she in that too? I don't know. You don't need to look it up, Wendy. I'm just.
I was like,
off the top of my head.
I don't think she was in that.
She was maybe not in that. Okay, yeah. Then that's crazy that they've never worked together.
Because I know. No, it doesn't. I mean, they know each other in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think they've done.
They were both huddled around Will Smith after he slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, so they they definitely know each other.
I don't think they've done a thing together.
No, not unless you count consoling Will Smith after the Oscars. That would be them working together.
I do find it very exciting for Denzel, though, that he's getting to kind of pick this character back up. And he even said in one of the articles that I read that he's like, I got to get in shape. I want, he just finished Tragic Macbeth. Now he gets to do this. Like, what an exciting time for him. And I just enjoy him just overall as a performer.
He's great. No, he's amazing.
So
and he's really good in these roles. I mean, these are good movies. I actually really like the second one with Pedro and all that. So yeah, no, they're not too bad. All right, well, we got a few minutes left. Let's hit this one. So we know there's a few Dungeons and Dragons projects in the works. One is a film starring Chris Pine, and the other is a TV series that the director of Red Notice is working on for Netflix. But the film, the Chris Pine movie, has announced its full title this week, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, which actually I have to say is a pretty strong title. I like that.
Yeah.
Wendy, I know you're a D&D fan. What do you think about the title announcement and just sort of, this movie being in production and where it's going?
I'm very excited for the prospect of a D&D Dungeons and Dragons movie. I think the title sounds really cool. And reading what I read about what, some of the actors have spoken about it, it sounds like they're trying to, and I can't remember if it was Pine that said it or maybe it was the director or the producers, but they said that, the fans of D&D would enjoy it. So I really hope that they capture the essence of D&D, which is essentially, a fantasy adventuring movie. You've got dungeon runs, you've got spells, you got, your party adventuring and things like that. So I hope that they're able to capture it all. I read that they're not making it too heavy. There's some comedy, there's a bit of Goonies in there. So kind of a bit of an 80s vibe, which I'm like, okay. I think I can kind of envision that. So I just hope overall it's good. The cast sounds great. I'm happy to see Sophia Lilla's name pop up because I think she's a great actress, and I hate that I don't get to see her like in movies or TV shows more often. So I'm excited, and I feel like Chris Pine said somewhere in the interview that he's kind of like the party planner of the, and I think he's speaking to his character. So that's making me think of like what type of character he is playing, and to me, the alignment sounds like neutral good, lawful good, probably a paladin or something like that in my D&D head. I think that's what we're going to see. So look, I want to see dungeon runs. I want to see them looting. I want to see them have a good time at a tavern. There's got to be a tavern. Every D&D game has a tavern. Right. Great NPCs and cool spells. That's what I want.
If they were leaning towards one thing, like for a sort of, the vibe of the film, are you looking like you'd like to see it more of like a Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, or more, like you were sort of saying, like, Marvel version of it where it's a little bit funnier, and
yes.
What's sort of the vibe you're looking for?
Yeah, more of Lord of the Rings, big partying adventure. They all have like the end goal, like where they must reach, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons. I'm guessing they're going to go into a dragon's lair, right? But I would like to see a bit of comedy play out. I don't want it to be like belly laugh, haha, all throughout. But
right.
if for anybody that's ever played a campaign, like just because it's a lot of things are based on dice rolls, a lot of things are based on role play, like RP is super important in D&D. There's a lot of really funny moments that can come out, and I just really hope that we get to see, how these members in their adventuring party interact with each other. Do they butt heads? How is their planning? Do they split the party? Like, that's really important.
Right. Interesting. Okay. And Yael, how do you, are you a Dungeons and Dragons person? Are you excited for this film? What do you think of the title?
Here's the title's great. I'll give you that. The title is fantastic. I recall the D&D movie from 2000.
Oh,
yes,
Dungeons and Dragons.
We all
recall. Can it be better than this? Who knows? Who knows if it can be better than that one? But I personally feel like I would love it to be, this might be weird to say, but I would love it to be like Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I want that. I want to see the external as well as the story and the journey in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because, right, like in 2000, we did a movie that was called Dungeons and Dragons, and it had a bunch of D&D stuff in it, but it wasn't great.
Right.
So maybe what we need is to show the two worlds, right? Because otherwise it feels almost like you're just making a fantasy movie.
Yep.
And a fantasy adventure and calling it Dungeons and Dragons. And so if we have Vox Machina, which like is a quality
right.
D&D show, you know what I mean? Like, why are we trying to compete with that? And we've already failed miserably in 2000. So give me a Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah,
that's what I think they should do.
I think that's a great idea.
I like that.
I don't think that's what they made, but
Nope.
I do think that that's a great idea for it. Yeah, and then the other thing, I mean, because I've watched the Vox Machina show. Wendy recommended it to me, and I watched a few episodes and enjoyed it. And I get what you're saying. Like, that is a perfect D&D. So why would they make another one? Well, it's because that's not D&D. People that own the D&D rights don't get anything from Vox Machina because, right? So that's why they're making the Dungeons and Dragons, because they want their own Dungeons and Dragons. Should it be more like Vox Machina? Probably. I think that probably would make a lot of fans happy. And I really like your idea about Jumanji. Unfortunately,
that'd be cool.
I do think this is, from what I understand, I do think this is being done as like a straight up like
fantasy adventure.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy Irons 2000.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fear, right? Is that it'll be as bad as that.
I'm sure that the effects will be better.
I'm reading the description of this. This is from Empire. And I'm kind of laughing. I think the description that Chris Pine had, where it's going to be a little bit of everything, there's going to be like serious moments and comedic moments. And I'm reading this description, and it says this: an ex-harper turned thief escapes from prison with his partner, a female barbarian, and reunites with a no-talent wizard and a druid new to their team in an effort to rob the cheating con man who stole all of their loot from the heist that has landed them behind bars, and it uses to install himself as the new Lord of Neverwinter. Only the traitor is allied with a powerful red wizard who has something far more sinister in store, i.e. a dragon.
So it's an adventure fantasy movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as a fan of D&D, I am very excited, but with caution. Because I tend to hype myself up, thinking like the things that I'm gonna see. I think the only thing that I really hyped myself up for, and it exceeded my expectation, was Vox Machina when it comes to D&D stuff, because they did that so well. And it's animated. Things are a little bit different. You have a lot of wiggle room creatively with animation, because it's like you don't have to worry about big sets, green screen, blue screen, visual effects, special effects, or practical. Like it's all drawn. Which was drawn beautifully. So,
do you guys remember a movie called Dungeon Siege? It was like something, a
that
Dungeon
sounds familiar.
Siege. But so it was kind of like a ripoff of Dungeons and Dragons, but Jason Statham starred in it. And for the longest time, I thought it was a Jason Statham Dungeons and Dragons movie, and then it was explained to me, no, it's called like a Dungeon Siege story, which is basically. They didn't have the rights to say it's Dungeons and Dragons, but that's what it is. So yeah, so there's that. I always think about that with the bad Jeremy Irons movie as well.
Look, I'm not saying that an action adventure fantasy movie isn't good, and I think that with Chris Pine, it probably is going to be great. That plot that you read sounds enjoyable, right? Like it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's going to have some heart and action and some jokes.
Yeah.
I think that by putting the Dungeons and Dragons name on it, they are giving people an expectation, and they are setting themselves up probably for failure. Because even if it's just fine, people are going to be disappointed because it's supposed to be the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what happened in 2000.
Yeah. So then if they take it to with the element of Jumanji, where there's like, gameplay versus game world, like I think that can take some of the pressure off of it, because you can always go super meta and kind of cut to the, why would you, like as in the players in the real world talking smack to each other and disagreeing over a plan, and we kind of dive it back, or however they want to approach it.
Yeah, almost like a Lego movie or Princess Bride, even give us the two worlds.
They did mention Princess Bride.
Oh, interesting.
In one of the actors in the interview. So I don't know if they meant it in the sense of Princess Bride in that world, or would they flip back and forth between Grandpa reading the story and that world. So like if they're talking about the latter, here for it.
Interesting. Well, we will have to wait and see. But I agree. I think the Jumanji version of Dungeons and Dragons
Be
would have
so
been
fun.
great. Would have been great. But that's all the time we have this week. We want to thank you all for watching and tuning in, and remind you to follow us. And we're just one of the shows on the Hollywood Critics Association's YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and tune in and watch Pop Council every Monday at 11 a.m. It wouldn't be a Pop Council if we didn't have our guests. So let's thank Yael. Yael, thank you so much. And let everyone know where they can find you and check out all your stuff.
Yeah, I am everywhere on the internet at Yael Tygiel. That is YAELTYGIEL. I am currently on Twitter, but who knows how long that will last. So make sure you're following me on Instagram. I'm going to start tweeting in my stories, I guess. Also, Tuesdays here on this channel. So definitely subscribe with Hollywood Approved with Kristen Baldonado. Also, Law and Order S Review, my SVU podcast over on Fanversation and wherever you listen to podcasts. And of course, if you've ever seen Leverage Redemption, go over to the Electric Now app to watch the official Leverage Redemption after show, a very distinctive podcast for free. The entire season 1 podcast is available there. That's it. That's where I'm at. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah,
Of course.
We love it. We love it. You'll have to come back. Wendy, another great week. Let everyone know where they can check out all your stuff.
Another great week indeed. You can find me across all socials at my name, Wendy Lee Zaney, on YouTube under The Movie Couple, and of course every Monday right here on Pop Council at 11 a.m. PT.
And I'm Jami Philbrick. You can check my reviews and news and showtimes and all that good stuff over at moviephone.com. And we will see you next week on the Pop Council podcast. Thanks so much.